What if I told you that 90% of everything you've ever worried about was a complete waste of your mental energy? Not because things worked out fine, but because you were worrying about the wrong category of problem entirely. There's a mental trick that's been around for over 2,000 years, and once you understand it, worry doesn't just decrease, it becomes almost impossible. Stay with me, because this one idea might change how you experience every stressful moment for the rest of your life. You know the feeling. You're lying in bed at 3 in the morning. Your brain won't shut off. You're replaying a conversation from yesterday, rehearsing one that might happen tomorrow, running simulations of disasters that will probably never occur. Or maybe it's during the day. You're at work, but you're not really there. Half your mind is stuck on something you can't do anything about right now. The promotion you might not get. The text your friend hasn't replied to. The economy, your health, whether people actually like you. Worry feels productive. That's the trap. Your brain tells you that if you just think about this problem enough, you'll solve it. You'll be prepared. You'll stay safe. But here's what's really happening. You're spending real energy on imaginary control. You're exhausting yourself fighting battles that either aren't real or aren't yours to fight. And the worst part? While you're busy worrying about things you can't change, you're ignoring the things you actually can. Here's the mental trick, and it's stupidly simple once you hear it. Every single thing in your life falls into one of two categories: things you can control and things you cannot. That's it. 2 buckets. Everything goes in one or the other. Now here's where it gets interesting. Worry only makes sense for one of these buckets, and most people spend their worry on the wrong one. Think about it. If something is within your control, you don't need to worry about it. You need to do something about it. Worry is just procrastination with anxiety attached. And if something is outside your control, worry is completely useless. You're burning mental fuel on something you cannot influence, no matter how much you stress about it. This isn't positive thinking. This isn't pretending problems don't exist. This is just logic. Pure, cold, practical logic. A former slave who became one of history's most influential teachers figured this out almost 2,000 years ago. His name was Epictetus, and he taught in ancient Rome during some of the most turbulent times imaginable. He said something that cuts straight through all our modern anxiety. Some things are within our power, and some things are not, and all of our suffering comes from confusing these two categories. That's it. That's the whole trick. But here's where most people go wrong. They think they know what's in their control. They don't. You don't control whether you get the job. You control how well you prepare for the interview. You don't control whether someone loves you back. You control how you show up in relationships. You don't control the economy, the weather, other people's opinions, traffic, or whether your flight gets delayed. You control your effort, your response, your attitude, your next action. Everything else, it's not yours, and treating it like it is will drive you crazy. Let's make this real. Say you have a big presentation at work next week. Your brain starts spinning. What if you mess up? What if they don't like it? What if this ruins your reputation? Stop. Run it through the filter. Can you control whether they like it? No. That's their reaction. That's their mood that day. That's their biases and preferences, not yours. Can you control how prepared you are? Yes. Can you control how clearly you organize your points? Yes. Can you practice until you know it cold? Yes. So do those things. Pour all your energy there, and then let go of the outcome. The presentation will go however it goes. Your job was to show up prepared. That's it. That's all that was ever actually yours. Here's another one. You texted someone you care about. Hours go by, no response. Your brain starts telling stories. They're mad at you. They're pulling away. You did something wrong. But wait. Can you control when they reply? No. Can you control what's happening in their life right now? No. Can you control whether their phone died or they got slammed at work? No. What can you control? You already did it. You reached out. That was your move. Now you wait. And you put your attention somewhere useful instead of refreshing your phone like a slot machine. This isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about redirecting your energy. Worry is just misdirected focus. Put it where it actually works. There's a story about a Roman emperor named Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in the ancient world. He ruled during plagues, wars, betrayals, and constant threats to his life and his empire. And every night, he wrote in his journal, not for anyone else to read, just for himself, reminding himself of this exact principle. He'd write things like, "Today I will meet people who are arrogant, ungrateful, and dishonest, but I will not be disturbed, because their behavior is not within my control. Only my response is." Here's a man with actual armies at his command. And he knew, even with all that power, that most of life was still outside his grip. So he focused ruthlessly on the sliver that wasn't. He couldn't stop the plague. He couldn't make his generals loyal. He couldn't prevent his own death. But he could choose how he showed up, every single day. And that's exactly what he did. If it worked for an emperor managing a crumbling empire, it can probably work for you managing a stressful inbox. Now you might be thinking, this sounds like giving up, like accepting defeat, like not caring about outcomes. But here's the thing, it's actually the opposite. When you stop wasting energy on what you can't control, you have more energy for what you can. You're not less invested, you're more effective. Think of it like this. A surgeon can't control whether the patient survives. There are too many variables. But they can control how steady their hands are, how focused their mind is, how prepared they came into that room. The best performers in any field understand this instinctively. They detach from the outcome and attach to the process. Because the process is theirs. The outcome never was. This isn't passivity, it's precision, it's putting your power exactly where it belongs. So how do you actually start doing this? Here's something you can try tonight. When you feel worry rising, ask yourself one question. Can I do anything about this right now? If yes, do it. Send the email, make the call, take the action, then move on. If no, notice that. Say it to yourself. This is outside my control. And then consciously redirect your attention to something that is within your control. It sounds simple. It is simple. But simple isn't the same as easy. You'll have to do this dozens of times a day at first. Your brain has years of practice worrying about the wrong things. But every time you catch yourself and redirect, you're building a new mental habit. And eventually, the filter becomes automatic. Worry stops making sense because you've trained yourself to see it for what it is. Wasted effort. Remember what we said at the start. 90% of your worry has been spent on things you never had power over anyway. The job that didn't work out, the relationship that ended, the things people said about you, the economy, the past. None of it was ever in your bucket. And the moment you really understand that, something shifts. You stop fighting the universe, and you start working with the only thing you ever actually had. Yourself, your choices, your next move. That's not less power. That's the only power that ever existed. And once you see it, worry doesn't stand a chance.